There are grave warnings of attacks right here in the United States and throughout the West. The National Counterterrorism Center just issued warnings Friday of attacks across multiple cities from Al Qaeda. But Al Qaeda isn't the only operative you need to be concerned with. There are now also reports that ISIS has told its people located throughout the West to attack Christians, Jews. They're talking about attacking our infrastructure, attacking wherever people are gathered, uh, starting for as far as all kinds of mayhem. And also, there's new activities from those on the left side of the spectrum. We may see some things shaking loose really soon in that category, my friends. And on top of that, this whole deal with the Russian incursions into NATO airspace, uh, this is something that is really ratcheted up. In fact, as you may know, I don't know if you've heard all the reports. Of course, we know that there were on two different occasions Russian drones that went into Poland. Russian drones went into Romania, and then there was a couple of Belarusians that flew a drone right over the presidential palace in Poland. But the biggest threat or the biggest incursion was three MiG, I believe 31s from Russia that flew into Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. They had their transponders turned off. And furthermore, to make it even more interesting, they were intercepted by NATO fighters, I believe from Italy, radioing them, and they would not respond. And so Lithuania has come out and said, well, we should just shoot them down. We're on the verge of what could be a full-scale war between NATO and Russia popping up anytime. And this whole thing could be, I really think, it goes back to that meeting that Russia, North Korea, and Xi Jinping had at their celebration. I hope y'all can hear me well. Uh, Tell me in the chat room if y'all can hear me. This big meeting they had at the 80th celebration of the victory over Japan, which they didn't mention anything about the United States' involvement in that victory, which we all know that would not have happened if it weren't for the United States of America. But, they give no credit to that. So, I used to be stationed at Fort Greely, Alaska. It was the Allen Army Airfield was set up there to supply Russia during World War II. We put troops and had a lot of involvement helping China. And it was actually not the CCP that won the war for China. It wasn't the People's Republic of China. It was the Republic of China, Chiang Kai-shek, who was later run into exile on the island of Formosa, which we call Taiwan. So, yeah, I think that CCP's forces did engage the Japanese some, but they didn't do the heavy lifting, but they took all the credit, which is typical for a situation like that. But the whole point I was trying to get to here was not that. It was really, that's a sidebar. It's been reported that there were deals cut amongst the three of them that they would do diversionary tactics should China decide to launch on Taiwan. Now, we are apparently on the verge of doing something big in Venezuela. But on top of that, China's kind of come out and told Venezuela they would support them. What does that mean? That's kind of ambiguous. What does that mean? Is all this tied together? Are we on the verge of something big? We're less than 2 weeks to the sea states calm down and thereabouts in the Strait of Taiwan. And typically, China, if they were going to go for it on this season of calm sea states, they would start hammering Taiwan ahead of time or cutting them off with a blockade. But they might try to cut us off before they cut them off. That's what a lot of people think and get us tied up. And this could be part of what's going on. And a lot of people saying Russia's testing NATO just for the purposes of further expansions of their activities. I think Russia's hands are full in Ukraine. It's kind of hard for me to see, especially at this point in time. But something is going on. Something is happening. What in the world is it? What is going on? Kim Possible, good to see you in here. So, big things are happening, and we don't really know the full extent, my friends. But things could get real ugly real fast right here at home. I wanted to do this last night, but I had some issues and I just wasn't able to get the production out in time. And tonight I'm actually operating off of my old backup PC or laptop, which is shift key sticks. I can't do any capital letters or special characters, so I had a real hard time logging into everything. And that's one of the title for this video is all in lowercase. So I'm having some issues, and I'm just gonna have to deal with this for a week because my other computer's gonna be a week or two in shop. So all that said, um, so there is so much going on right now that if you're not got your eyes wide open, head on swivel, I don't know what you're thinking. If you're not prepping, I don't know what you're thinking. Right now, we are in some of the most dire times, and the news media is just kind of ignoring it, and we're all caught up. This Charlie Kirk thing is huge because it pretends, not pretends, uh, all kind of mayhem here at home. You add that to the activities of potential of Al Qaeda as our National Counterterrorism Center has announced, and the calls from ISIS for attacks. Through their call was throughout the West. The Al Qaeda threat, as reported by the National Counterterrorism Center, was right here in the United States, is what their focus was. But that don't mean it isn't intended throughout the entire West either. So there's just a lot of oddball things happening right now, and it doesn't look good. Hey, everybody needs to do some serious praying right now if these things don't transpire like this, because we don't want what it smells like. We don't want this stuff to get that bad that fast, but it could. It very well could. I'm glad to see we got 71 in the room since I'm on here so late. Um, my channel has been very much underperforming with the videos I've done lately, so I need you guys to share my videos because I've invested a lot of time and effort to try to up the game here, and it's going flat. So I need all the help I can get. So share my videos. But anyway, all that aside, uh, it kind of goes. And here's the other thing: China is apparently flipping India to their side. You need to see my last video on this genetic super soldier venture that it's been alleged that Russia and North Korea are joining China on. I've talked about that in the past. I just did a video on that, which you should have seen this morning, although it didn't get a lot of views. So if you're not seeing it, go look for it. I guess you're gonna have to look for videos on my channel because people like Arnold's in here right now, but he told me he wasn't getting my notifications. He just hadn't watched my channel. And when people that watch every single video you put out don't get notifications, that means you are being stomped by the platform. They talk their algorithms or this, that, and the other. They turn down the gain on channels they don't like quite often. So we all know that. We know there's something called shadow banning, but people on the other side of the spectrum don't know anything about that. They don't know why we're so concerned about free speech. But in any event, so that's just another sidebar, and the domestic uh, travails that we're facing right now, and it does not look pretty by any way you want to shake it. So we are in Walsh's Times tomorrow. They're going to have the services down the road from me, about 3 hours drive south of me, and I'm not going down there because I got plenty of other things I got to get caught up on here. But and it's be a big crowd and just all kind of potential for making some great reporting if I could get down there, but I really can't do it. I just had to make a diversion up to Flagstaff today to turn in the other laptop, and that was a big chunk out of my time, and I got to go back in a week or two to get it back. So all that aside, that's just aside. Colonel Cole's in the house. I appreciate that. I'm hoping to have him and my sniper buddy live to talk some details, some real minute details on the things that went down with Charlie Kirk, stuff you're not hearing on other channels. So hopefully we can get to that maybe Wednesday. We'll have to see. Our sniper buddy, that's when he's available, I think. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But all that aside, you're going to have to watch my channel. You'll have to go look at my channel to see what I put up last, because the notifications apparently aren't getting out. So all that said, you know, I think we've made some mistakes in how we're dealing with India, because India could have been our best block against China, but I think we've tossed them in the other direction. See, they've always been friendly to Russia. And there's a history. Back when the Cold War was going on, the original Cold War, uh, India kind of sided with Russia. Russia kind of adopted India, was good to India, and Pakistan sided with the United States at that time. And so Pakistan was our ally, and for whatever that was worth, and India was on the Russian side of the ledger. Well, was moving more in our direction, and Pakistan was getting more involved with China. But I think China probably cut a deal with India, says, hey, Pakistan won't hit you if you come in our fold, and we'll stop our border skirmishes. You line up with us, because there's a big gain for that on the Chinese side. But, President Modi of India ought to, too bad he's not Christian, don't know what's in the book of Revelations, because it talks about a quarter of the world's population getting wiped out in that area by a large aggressive army of 200 million people. And, to take that many people, that sounds to me like a hit on India from China. That's just my read of it. I hope I'm wrong, but don't put it past China to double cross anybody who allies with them, including Russia. There's a whole lot of resources up in Siberia, lots of resources that aren't tapped. We don't even know what all's up there. It's a huge land, and you can bet your bottom penny that China is licking their chops at that and thinking about how they're going to take that one day. And Russia kind of knows that too. And that's the sad thing. We've driven both Russia and India apparently into the lap of the dragon. So, and then that's not all due to this administration. I think the previous administration's at fault for driving Russia in that direction, but they're apparently not going to change directions with Ukraine, and they are making motions to rattle the halls throughout NATO. And this could escalate. This could become a full-blown war between NATO and Russia. Now, I've said the United States needs to pull out of NATO, but apparently Trump is not going to do that. He's behind them from all intents and purposes. Now, there's been talk, from Hexeth and some in the Department of War now about the United States changing philosophy just to protect stuff here at home in our own hemisphere and kind of withdrawing from the rest of the world like that. But Trump is actually trying to make a deal with the Taliban. The Taliban and Al Qaeda aren't synonymous, although Al Qaeda used to be principally based in Afghanistan. But to get back to Bagram Air Force Base there in Afghanistan, he is trying to negotiate a deal for that. Why? To counter China. And the Afghanis do not like China. And so that's why they're courting this idea, because they don't like how the Chinese treat the Uyghur people. They treat them, it's just really a genocide. It's horrible what's going on over there. And they do this, they're not, they do the same kind of stuff against their own countrymen who are in the Falun Gong. Christians are highly repressed and highly subject to find themselves donating organs, whether they want to or not, if you know what I mean. So it's not pretty over there, and that's the kind of government that could be running our world if we're not careful. The West faces the biggest threat it's ever faced in its history. It's all over, and it's because we let it happen. We let our guard down, and a lot of it is because of the dreams of the globalist, the likes of the House of Klaus. He's retired, but he set up the legacy for some of that, and it really predates him. Their idea that nations were bad. They wanted to set up a global system, a global government, and maybe they're still heading that direction. But it might be Xi Jinping over it the way we're heading now, because they thought they could break the nations by breaking their identities, by allowing mass immigration into them. But what it's done is just created a lot of mayhem. Europe is in big trouble to repress people from talking about and complaining against this kind of stuff. Free speech was basically taken away from the people in England and throughout Europe. And now we see a lot of people in England doing major protests led by the likes of, I believe, Tommy Robinson's his name. Elon Musk weighed in over it, and some of them over there didn't like him coming over and weighing in on that. But freedom of speech is vital It is how we have this discourse. And a lot of people have been trying to take freedom of speech away from us here. And they had a lot to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. He wanted to have open discussions. And some people don't want that. Cancel culture, as you might recall, is a big term for that kind of stuff. So, my friends, we it's getting bad. It's getting bad fast. A lot of stuff's happened here in the last month or so. A lot of things have been going on in Europe, here at home. We've had the lady on the train in Charlottesville who was from the refugee from Ukraine who met a grisly demise. We've had the school teacher, retired veterinarian teacher from Auburn who met a very grisly demise. Our courts have just been uh, a revolving door. Bad guys come in and they go right back out. That needs to stop. These judges need to be held accountable for this. I think they are the problem, a big part of the problem. But of course, a certain side of the spectrum, thinks that's just the way to do it. What is with it with these people? Um, they're turning all this loose on us. The same people that opened our borders, that allowed all kinds of gangs and gang members, sleeper cell members to come into this country in droves. They've allowed all that stuff to happen. At the same time, they want to cut down police forces and tell you can't defend yourself. And if you do defend yourself, you're the one that serves the time. Those other guys, they don't serve time, but they put you in. How do we get here? We got here because good men didn't stand up, because we were shamed. We were shamed. We were told, "Oh, you're bad. You're bad. This is the way to do it." And we felt guilty or something. And then they just rolled over us. Now, look, our country's falling apart. The whole West is falling apart. America is not quite as in bad a shape as Europe. I don't know if Europe can survive it. I'm very doubtful about that. Some people, like Tommy Robinson, maybe a leader to turn that around. The European people don't want to go in that direction. They would like to retain their cultures, their identities. They would like to be free, to be able to have freedom of speech. The one good thing that Vance did when he went over to Europe and visited them is he told them, he said things that would be illegal to say. He lectured them. But if anybody else had said that over there, they'd have been put in jail for this, what he told them. But they had to sit there and take it. And the truth is, they knew he was right. So we've allowed ourselves to allow this stuff to happen. I don't know, I may get my channel shut down for this. I'm not saying anything wrong, but it is controversial, somewhat, on the political side. But my message in this is that we need to stand up for our rights, that we need to speak our minds, that we need to have open dialogue, talk with the other side. There are some of them that can be convinced. In fact, a lot of people have left the Democratic Party recently over what they witnessed their fellow friends doing, the sides they've taken, how they've celebrated things that were rather heinous, if you know what I mean. They're the ones that burn down cities when they get unhappy. We haven't seen that happen in the aftermath of Kirk because we're not like them. We're different. We're not. They want to accuse us of being the violent ones. We're not. We want law and order. We want peace. We want freedom. They don't comprehend that. Apparently, they think that they're the ones that want freedom. I don't know, guys. It's, hey, we got Ransom in the house. Good to see you, Ransom. So everybody check out his channel. He just posted a video too. I'll check it out, guys. Anyway, guys, he and David Devine, something about demons and ice. I've been hearing stories about that. Guys, seriously, I'm going to share some articles here just to kind of underpin what I'm telling you. But I'm telling you right now is the crux of it. There's all kinds of disinformation running around. It's mainly just people that are just trying to figure out what's going on, and a lot of them, just don't have the credentials really to speak about some of the things that they think they do. So we'll correct some of that soon. We'll try to. But the key thing, all that aside, The key thing is there's a lot of threats right now, right here at home. There's threats of war abroad, and the war abroad will also come here at home. This is not just true for the United States. This is the entire Western civilization, the entire Western way of thinking. And Xi Jinping and company are trying to seduce the global South and a lot of other countries into going along with them. They've even got training recently with one of our allies, Thailand. So they're trying to flip a lot of countries, and they're trying to get these countries to vote with them in the UN. But like I've said, China don't ever honor anything the UN tells them when it goes against their interests, but then they know we will. This is at a disadvantage to those of us that like law and order against those who don't. And a lot of people don't they don't like to put China in that light. But just look what they've done in the South China Sea. The Hague ruled against them in 2016 on the basis of long-standing maritime tradition and the Lawless Sea Treaty, which China signed. But by the way, China, the United States did not sign that, and I played a role in that because I really rallied against that big time. Believe it or not, the National Space Society, when I was chairman of the policy committee. And believe it or not, the law of the sea has a lot to do with how we can operate in space. And it was very restrictive in many ways that would restricted private enterprise and just made it unworkable in space. So that's why we did not go down that road, is that it was not a good treaty for the interests of the United States. But still, it's got certain standards that China flaunts, and they do whatever they want. Think about that treaty over Hong Kong. We can see they didn't honor that either. They only honor whatever they feel like, and that's part of the communist way of doing business. A lot of people aren't paying attention to that, but I would venture that China is something other than communist. It probably starts with an N and ends with a ZI. Might have an A somewhere in there. If you look at it, how their countries run, the public-private partnerships they got, the way they deal business, but it don't really make a lot of difference. They're all totalitarian societies, or it's like you start with the left and the right, and you go all the way around, and you meet someone on the bottom, and that's totalitarianism. And it really don't much matter what flavor it is; it's the same stinking thing. Totalitarianism is totalitarianism any way you shake it, and that's what we don't need. And a lot of people fail to see that all that stuff is a slippery slope to totalitarianism. It all sounds so good. Yeah, it's like fly bait, you know. Tastes good until you're kicked over. So anyway, that's my take on that stuff. Now, if y'all see things different, say it in the chat room. Feel free. There are channels that will ban people that have opinions of opposition. As long as you express your opinions with civil discourse and respect, we entertain them here. If you want to get disrespectful and use foul language, my mods will take you out because we're a family channel, and I do expect everybody to be decent and treat other people with respect and not to use foul language. That's our standard here on Green Regs, not on my channels. Is just be decent. Discourse is fine. In fact, when I was in high school, I was on the other side of the spectrum. I'm one of the people who saw the light and the reality of how the world actually operated, and I said, this is bunk. And I went the other way. So I'm just giving you guys the background. This is really late, for me to come on. But I've had computer problems. But this whole warning, I really needed to get this out. The warning about the Al Qaeda, the warning about ISIS, the warning about other political mayhem that may occur in this country. I hope and pray it does not. But just in case, the whole purpose is to get you ready. In war, is another thing that could be bringing mayhem to this country. There are sleeper cells here. There are groups here that could be unleashed upon us. Remember the biolab in Reedy, California? How many more of those are there? There could be people here ready to take out our grid, take out our dams, cause flooding, major mayhem. I did a video on what that could look like too. You wouldn't believe just the damage that could be done by taking out dams upstream. How it could cascade downstream and take out so many things. It is uncanny. I'll get to the chat room in a little bit. I'm going to go through the news part first, and we'll go through the chat, and I'll check my email for PayPal. Um, so, yeah, so first, I just want to give you the straight skinny on the threats we face right now. They are huge. I'm not saying it's a certainty. There are channels that come on and just say, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I don't do that because I do believe in the multiverse. Part of it is, we can hope and pray and wish and maybe get ourselves down a path. And that's why I urge you to pray, my friends. Seriously. Pray, meditate, whatever works for you. I do believe in a greater creator. And I've mentioned that many times. So, and I do know of the power of prayer. It works. So it's time to do some serious prepping and praying. Prep and pray and hope for a better day. But, if you're not prepping, you're not being smart with everything that's facing us right now. It does not look pretty. I'm not saying it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but there is the potential that it could be imminent. So it could be any day. We already have seen more stuff happen in these last few weeks than we would want to see by a long shot. And from the discourse we see on social media, just from people within this country, we're talking citizens, and how divided it is not pretty. But that plays into the hands of those who would like to do mayhem abroad because they want us divided. The more mayhem they see here, the more we're distracted, the more they can get away with. So praise the Lord and pass the ammo. Amen to that one. So seriously, I am appealing to you to be prepped and to pray, both, and to be aware at all times. You don't know when something might go south right next to you, behind you, in front of you, to the side of you. You need to be situationally aware whenever you're out in public. Do not focus in on one thing and become unaware of what's going on around you, like that lady from Ukraine on that bus. All she knew was in the world at the moment was her phone, but somebody else had other ideas and it did not work for her. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, Jojo. Keep that in mind, my friends. So with all that said, I'm going to show you some of the articles just to reinforce what I'm talking about, because I'm not making this stuff up, provided I handle this without wiping out the video. Now, I've been losing internet a little bit. My Starlink has been kind of going in and out, but it may be the computer here. But it tells me I'm losing internet connection quite frequently, and I've not seen that before. So I think it might be the computer I'm on. I don't know for sure. So if I drop out, that may be why. Maybe I can get back on. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to do a quick share. I'm going to try to get through this stuff. I've been struggling to bring this to y'all tonight, but it's late, but I just felt like you needed to know the threats that's ahead of us. So that, I hope this is the one I want to bring up. Let's see. I don't know. Hang on, guys. I'm not going to. What is that? I don't know, guys. Hang on. Something is strange here. Give me a second. I don't even know how to back out right now. Where I'm at. Well, I'm trying to go. It doesn't look right here. I need to change something. It's not looking like I want it to. This might be there it is. All right, good. Screen one looking right. Like I said, I'm on a different computer and it's just not behaving well. All right, so guys, this is about the National Counterterrorism Center that offered this just yesterday, Friday, which is, well, it's now Sunday for most of us. But I just wanted you to see this. I ain't gonna beat it. So this is from Newsmax. Fed warns of new Al Qaeda plot, and they're talking about horrific multi-city attacks. So I kid you not, my friends, this is to be taken seriously. Officials were told not to share travel plans online to avoid carrying badges or IDs outside of work, so they couldn't be identified, basically. So it's not looking good. What they're talking about is the Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. So this is not, it's that group. It's not one old one based out of Afghanistan. Now, actually, the Al Qaeda and believe it or not, the Taliban had a falling out. So maybe while Trump is trying to get in there. This is another article from Reuters talking about the same thing. So they issued this Friday. The United States showed that the group's enduring threat to the country. And so it's called AQAP, Al Qaeda, the Arabian Peninsula. And so they are looking to inspire potential attackers here in the U.S. and probably, and this is actually from the National Counterterrorism Center. This is an early report they put out in July talking about this, but they just came out and said this on Friday, and it's not on their website, which is strange. I looked through their website, but this is a similar report here talking about Al Qaeda and the threats that they believe that they're putting out. And then on top of that, ISIS comes out. ISIS issues attacks threat. Now, so this it's called attention in Britain, but it's their challenge to their followers is throughout the West. So people in Great Britain are particularly concerned with that. And anybody in any Western nation needs to be aware right now. So this is a threat, but it's bigger than that. There are other militias out there. If I can end. Shoot. I hate it when you can't hit the X. There we go. So all these other ads pop up. Left-wing militias are hiding right under our noses. So what they're saying is they're even in Utah. They're even in Utah, which is a very conservative state. Less than an hour away from Salt Lake City, left-wing radical groups have established a presence, including, I'm not going to say this out loud, but I hope I can highlight where you can see what I'm talking about. Ow. Well, says they're armed. The whole thing. I'm not going to say that out loud. Y'all can read it and figure out what to make of it for yourselves. But as we may have seen, there was a man arrested at the stadium ahead of the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which is supposed to be taking place tomorrow. Joshua Runkles, 42-year-old, posing as a law enforcement officer. Now, see, one of the details that's come out that's really got the National Counterterrorism Center peaked on all this is there's been a whole bunch of purchases lately of law enforcement uniforms, doctor uniforms. So it's thought that they're going to pose as law enforcement. It's thought that hospitals will be a target. Big events, like what's going to happen tomorrow, could be a target. This guy tried to target tomorrow's event. So this is happening. Of course, a good big reason behind a lot of this is somebody that we all know pumped $80 million into these groups. $80 million. And some of this went through the that organization, what was it, NASL, I don't forget what the acronym is, that Trump defunded, that Doge defunded, that the left cried and moaned about. Turned out that a lot of their funding went back to groups that were being directed by this individual. So we were paying for political activities to oppose us, to oppose our society. So I don't know, guys. This whole thing is just out of kilters here. In any event, I'm gonna have to squeeze the screen down a little bit more because it's a little bit because my app is fighting it for my Zoom. And as I mentioned, guys, Lithuania defense minister, I can't pronounce his name, Dovly Saklarini, I don't know. This guy. He's saying it's time just to start shooting down Russian planes when they make an incursion. That is a slippery slope to World War III in a hurry. Somebody might get trigger happy. This could happen. And Russia, I think, would respond should that happen. This is how NATO and Russia could get entangled, or it could just be a mistake, miscommunication, misunderstanding what's going on. That's when you got two militaries that are operating, that are in opposition, operate next to each other. All kind of things can happen, even by accident. There have been wars that we got into accidentally, believe it or not. And there we go. So I mentioned that jet flew over and ignored the calls from the other jets and ground control that tried to call them. They ignored them. Flew in for 12 minutes. And this is what's really got them rattled. 12 minutes. I got to move the screen down just to avoid having to put X on that. There we go. I got overlays on top of my tabs here. Makes it hard to do this stuff. Okay. Not sure this is going to come up. Oh, they got to show the ads first. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. Pakistan. I think I mentioned this. Oh, yeah. I started to go down this road. I didn't get done with it. Pakistan. Yeah. I was about to go down this alliances. I was talking about earlier how, we used to be on Pakistan's side and we tried to go more toward, especially after they hit Osama bin Laden. Some people say our guys were in them, but we've kind of had a falling out with Pakistan. We were gravitating toward India, but we've had some pretty good alliances with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a joint defense treaty, kind of like NATO, to defend each other. And Pakistan has extended their nuclear umbrella over Saudi Arabia. Now, given the political, you don't know where Pakistan's at. I don't know what this means, guys, but it just ups the ante for what war could look like in the Mideast, among other things. Yeah, war with China or whatever. India, however it all should play out. The fact that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have allied to mutually defend each other, and Pakistan extend their nuclear umbrella over Saudi Arabia is interesting, to say the least. It should be scary. So I don't know. Just something to think about, guys. Something to really ponder. I'm going to go through a few more articles here, and then we'll be done with the news shortly here. So if these things will come up. Anyway, apparently Trump has issued some warnings, and basically, Trump just has a certain manner of speaking, but you have to read in between the lines when he said some stuff. Well, the Russian jets, he said, I don't love it. Then he said, could be big trouble. Very vague, but sometimes his vague warnings have B-2 bombers coming behind them and F-35. So any kind of warning from Trump, you better pay attention to. Um, but this is what I'm saying. We're liable to get embroiled with a NATO war in Europe, which I said long ago we should pull out. So let's see, Trump hits out after Russia makes this brazen incursion into Estonia. It's Lithuania, though, that made the statement that we should start shooting down Russian jets. The Hill, went all into this because Estonia invoked Article 4. I failed to mention that. So we've had now 2 NATO nations invoke Article 4. That used to be considered a precursor to Article 5. Romania didn't do that, but Poland, and they had the encouragement, Poland and Estonia have invoked Article 4. Now, it should be noted that this is actually the 4th time that Russian jets made an incursion into Estonian airspace, but the other times were brief. This was a lot more brazen, 12 minutes, and not responding. Just like they said, F you to the fighter pilots and others around them. They just ignored them, went about their little merry way. Of course, Russia's denied this. I don't mean they denied their drones too. But, when their jets start getting shot down, they're not going to be denying it if that happens. Let's hope that don't happen. Let's pray that saner heads prevail, but there ain't many sane heads left in this world. We don't have much in the way of true diplomats. Where's James Baker when you need him, right? Anyway, now there's another situation. There's a city, Pokrovska in Ukraine, that they believe there's about to be a huge battle there, maybe the biggest one in the entire Ukrainian war, but they can't find the Russian troops. They're there, they're everywhere, but they're just scattered in, almost like a guerrilla force. They're probably planning to do something really big there, but it's hard to put a pin on, are they here, or are they there? So much for Palantir and their so-called great capabilities to monitor the battlefield, because these guys are hard. Some people are saying the West is just going to attack Russia and do them totally in, take everything out. How can they do that when they can't even find the Russian troops around Pokrovska? So if you got great faith and confidence that Palantir can ensure that we can make a swift victory over Russia, we shouldn't even be thinking about those kind of things. That's, playing insane war gamesmanship with a vast nuclear adversary. If we go down that road, we should have been we should have got Russia on our side. We have failed at that. But in any event, this would be, I don't know, like the old adage, no good plan survives first contact with the enemy. And now you can see that, what goods are planning when we can't even see them. I don't know, guys. So much for Palantir, Planeteer. What do they call themselves? There's a lot of questions. You don't play Russian roulettes with the Russians unless you got a death wish. Now, here's an interesting thing. Some Ukrainian teen come up with he's a teenager. He's not allowed to own explosives or firearms, but he invented kind of a net. At first, you launch through grenades, and then the troops in Ukraine says, "Hey, we need something for shotguns." He scaled it down. He's got an anti-drone net shotgun shell that he's invented, uh, and that's pretty inventive. He's basically running a company to deliver these now, and he's just a teenager in high school. So that's kind of interesting that a young lad can come up with something like that. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just telling you that that's really interesting. So yeah. And here we are. I think this is the China holding exercises with Thailand. They may be trying to flip Thailand over to their side. Maybe Thailand will go because they think China's going to win, not us. People don't want to be on the side of the loser. And some people think we ain't going to be able to prevail in their area. And here's some U.S. universities training Chinese military scientists on taxpayer dimes. Yeah, it turns out there are members or people connected with the Chinese military that's deeply embedded in our universities. And we're paying for them to do research. Now, how smart is that? How smart is that, my friends? And it started under the Biden administration because he failed to enforce Trump's 2020 order banning military-linked Chinese students from sensitive research. You think Biden? I don't know. What a mess. What a mess. But we may be on the verge of going into Venezuela. Things are building up still down there. And China said, well, we want to support Venezuela. We don't know what that means. But we got a submarine and important news that's out there, probably just to guard against that. So, all right, let's see if this stuff's going to advance. Turns out, a lot of people thought the price of gold was on a flat line, that the dollar was stabilized. It looks like it's going up again. If this thing will open. So you can, if you want to buy gold, if you want to buy silver, platinum, a lot of people think silver's not really going to go up. You can look at this $3,686.26 per troy ounce. That's the price of gold right now. Silver finally came up to a good $43.23. Guys, you can get this stuff at defythegrid.com. They've got a deal. If you find a better price somewhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. They sell bars. There it is. They sell coins, bars, the bullion, and they sell these gold bats, which, I'm fond of. I'll put in my wallet. I got mine in my wallet right now. But use discount code Green Gregs. You'll get 1% off. So that makes your deal even better. Speaking of Green Gregs, my channel here, the views on some of my videos have been very, very lackluster lately. I've been working hard to try to bring that up, and it's not been panning out. So I can scroll down here if it'll let me. This one talked about how North Korea and Russia teamed up with China for super soldier development, and how China is also actually doing the robotic soldiers, which is something I've warned about in the past. And now there's other articles coming out, pointing out what I've been saying for some time. So, but this video only got 706 views. I mean, that's not something I will get over on my tiny channels, not on Green Rigs. So, that is pretty lame for this channel. In fact, the last few videos have been kind of low. That one was low. Now I should be getting like 2,000 views at least, 2 or 3, and I'm getting very little here. So yeah, I mean, people like Arnold's telling me, well, hey, it's not even getting my notifications. So check my channel. Come in and just check it periodically to see if there's anything new on here. I'd appreciate that. And be sure to share my videos, my friends. Earthquakes. I looked at this last night. It was crazy. It don't look as bad right now as it did last night, but last night it just looked off the charts. I'm back out. It's still the Puerto Ricans are busy dancing. Glad they're having a good time. Back off here to see the world. The Kamchatka Peninsula is still rocking hard. The major submarine base there, they pretty much got wiped out by the tsunami. And because of that and the drone strikes from Ukraine, a lot of people thought, well, now's the time to hit Russia. Well, really? And they got something called a dead hand switch. Don't forget that, folks. But Palantir was sure that they could take care of those kind of things. Yet they can't find the Russians in Ukraine for the next major battle there. So I don't. That don't give me a lot of faith and confidence in their capabilities. So do we want to play Russian roulette with that? What do y'all think? You think? I think we ought to get the heck out of it. I think we need to be out of NATO, but we're not doing that apparently. Maybe if you write some letters, but I think Melania puts a bug in Trump's ear about that stuff. We got a bunch of sunspots right now. Quite a few. None ginormous. None that's going to take our grid down that we can see at the moment, but we got a lot pointed at us and they can grow. As we've seen, the sun has been very active in this cycle. It's been a very long period of activity. I think the grand solar minimum is over. Maybe we'll get another taste of it. Now, asteroids have been interesting. Turned out we had a whole lot of near misses by smaller ones. One came halfway between the Earth and the geosynchronous satellites, but it was, it was only 2 meters in diameter. It could have been a rocket stage or something that small size. This one was 7 meters. A couple of them were 4 meters. Fortunately, we're small. This one's 22 meters. That's not an asteroid, but that came inside the Earth and Moon's orbit, but it was still, 6/10 of the way out there. So that's a pretty good miss. But, this one was pretty close. I just drove by the exit to go down to Meteor Crater on my way to Flagstaff. Meteor Crater is between me and Flagstaff, by the way. When that impact hit, some 50,000 years ago, it wiped out everything in this area. So that can happen anywhere on Earth, just about any time. Just never know. So I'm going to stop the share. That's pretty much the news part for our coffee club people that watch in the morning. You just want the news first. So now I'll go into the chat room. First thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to check my email. I know Kim Possible's in the room, and when she's in the room, there's usually some things I ought to check to give her credit for. I didn't realize she was in the room the other day, and she gave us a generous super chat. So I just want to double check, because I like to give credit where it's due. And we got a donation. Yay. And from Kim Possible. She gave us a nice little donation here, $20. Salute and thank you, Kim Possible. She goes to my Green Greg's website, greengregs.com, and goes to the page that has the donate button on where I used to sell worms. You can scroll down and find the donate button. It's on the active button left on that side, because I'm not selling worms right now. I got to redo the whole website, but I may wait to such point where I determine I might do some small little sales once I get the worms reestablished here. I've almost got water now out to where the worms will be. I'm on the very verge of that, so I might be ordering some worms, but it'll take me a year or two of raising them to get them back up. But if I do any sales, it's going to be tiny. I'm not going to do an operation. I got to hire a lot of labor again. Wage grade labor bought me out in Alabama. They did more damage. I was actually paying people to wipe everything out, so it was not a good situation. Anyway, so let me check through the chat messages here real quick. Open the screen back up. See what folks are saying in here. Oh, we got a lot of chat. We got 154 people in the room. 154 top messages. How many is actually in the room? Over here and see if I can pull up our site, see if I can tell how many people in the room. That's I'd like to see how many people in the room, because this is crazy late hours. If we get that many people, that's amazing, especially considering how poorly my videos have been doing lately. So let me type in YouTube. This stuff don't come up like it should. Give me a second. Not sure that's a good indicator there. And she's being slow. Tell me I don't have an internet connection, because I know we're live. It's going to take a little bit. Here we go. Yeah. I got to turn to my channel. Give me a second here, folks. Sorry if it's taking a little bit long. I'm really curious to see how we're doing. So it looks like we're doing pretty good, which is interesting given the late time. Yeah, 125 watching. Okay, we got 125 people watching. Very good. For this late time, that's really good. All right. We went 92 thumbs up, though, guys. I need some help with the algors that have no rhythm. Help me out, folks. Help me out. Back now that I got this opened up, I'll just scroll through here and see what you guys are saying on my computer. It's a little easier to read than the phone. All righty. I don't go, it's not going all the way back in the chat, though. I'm going part way. First thing I see is praying is free. Yes, ransom praying is free. Whoops, what happened? Oh, I totally lost the chat here. Right, sometimes that happens when I'm on the phone. Oh, it says I've got 103 watching. I guess a few people jumped off now. I'm through the news part. So, what happens when I hit more? Dang it. Yeah. Sometimes on the phone, when the chat, I accidentally turn the chat off. Let's see. There it is. So I think I can go further back on this than what this is showing me. Oh, yeah, yeah. It did it again. Jeez. All right. So let me scroll. Miss Jones. Thanks for the heads up. Keeping our heads on the silver. Amen. All right, unless I'm not going all the way back to the beginning. That's in where JoJo came in. Unknown vector. Old Army stay alert, stay alive. Exactly. Be alert is a key. Charlotte. Okay, pardon me, Anton. How you doing, Anton? Uh, yeah, I get the C cities mixed up sometimes. God's alarm was set at wake up time already. He knows when he will end probation. Okay. Tiffany, how you doing? Yeah, possessed. I think a lot of these people are possessed. Anybody, I showed y'all a video in my last live session. This guy who was dancing, celebrating it. Yeah. If tell me that's not demonic, just tell me. Yeah. I think it is very. And the whole crowd just cheering and waving them on. That's what we're dealing with, guys. That's what we're dealing with. Oh, we got Norway in the house. Is Cha Cha here? Tiffany, Anton, Sonabin, Efton, Alawakan leads AQAP. Pyramid Seven's in the house. Very good. Okay, Anton. Hey, that's fine. Just don't pick up arms over it. You got differences, discuss them. Don't go bang bang or try to shut down discussion. Because when you shut down discussion, you ain't changing the mind of the person you shut up. You're just making them madder. The way to air things out is talk about it. Lots of European airports were cyber attacked earlier today, causing. Well, I heard there was a bunch of flight issues. Okay. The Russian way of testing the water, it may be. It may be, Nunu. Surely you must be joking. I kept feeling something dire was going to happen or going down soon. Juanita, maybe right. I hope not, but it does not look good. It does not look good on there. John Colonel Cole says, "Make me sick." Reference AU and AG awful. Why on earth did the left? Why on earth did the let out our equipment over there? That was not smart. Well, who was president then, right? I think you're talking about all the billions of stuff we left in Afghanistan. That was stupid, really stupid. Have heirloom seeds almost better than gold. Bingo. Guys, I do put up links for True Leaf Market and Eden Brothers. You use them. It would help me if you did. They got great deals. I buy my seeds from them. A big box back over here. Where I just bought a bunch. Interstellar visitor comments. Yeah, we got something coming through. Whatever it is. I don't like where Palantir's heading at all. I hear you, Drew. Well, this whole idea that, oh, we got such good intel, we can do all kind of crazy stuff. And yet they don't have good intel. Smoke screen. It's called false confidence, my humble opinion. Anyway. What's good news from Juanita? I don't panic. I trust in Jesus. I'm just a deep thinker. There you go. I tell you, don't panic. When you panic, you do stupid stuff. Panicking is never wise. Never a good thing to panic. 92 likes. Okay, I think I had a dropout on my internet. And I think it's probably the computer here. Am I back? I hope I'm back. Um, there we go. Oh, what's going on? I've not had that problem with my Starlink, but this must be my computer I'm using right now. I have not had that problem with Starlink in the past. But this has been happening tonight. And again, there could be some signal interference, some jamming, some hacking going on. Yeah, we're in perilous times. Yeah, I'm back now. So yes. Driving, well, be careful, Norway. Don't be looking at your phone while you're driving. I hope you just listen. All right, glitch. Yeah, internet went out, folks. At least on my computer. I don't. It's happened on my computer. I warned you, it might happen earlier in the video. As I was having problems setting this thing up, I was having problems re-logging into email. Try logins when all your logins require special characters, capital letters, and all kind of different things for passwords, right? I can't do those on this computer. I can. The shift key does not work. So I actually went to Gemini and said, "Give me a capital letter for C." I use a lowercase c. I said, "Give me all the special characters above the numbers on the keyboard on the QWERTY keyboard." I mean, cutting and pasting and trying to construct passwords. Uh, and then Microsoft wanted to fight me for logging into my emails again, and it's just been a nightmare tonight. And that really delayed me coming back. I wanted to cover some of the stuff last night, and I had to get up early, and I had just had too many conflicts, and I was really tired. I was really tired tonight too, but I drank a lot of coffee, and I just pushed it because I had to get these warnings out. I just had to let you guys know if you didn't know already. But if you did, maybe I gave it some perspective, and maybe a little bit of a clarion call. And it's pretty much the kind of thing I've been warning you guys about. We face threats here at home, even with the war abroad today, unlike ever before. In the past, when we had a war, it was all overseas. Now, and then when you combine that with our social strife, civil strife that we're having here at home, and in fact, we got Al Qaeda and ISIS, people scattered throughout all the Western countries. Norway, you can pay attention to this. Anybody that's we got anybody from Australia in the house? So those ETs on the 3-eye Atlas hacking again. Loudy, folks. Loudy. Um, we're all right as long as it don't slow down. If it slows down, all bets are off. Oh my gosh. Let's hope that it just goes on out of the solar system like a Mau moo. Y'all watch my Galactic Greg's channel. I just did a video talking about Enceladus, and man, they got a lot of views. I'm doing better on Galactic Grace than I'm doing over here. So I don't know. But it's not monetized channel. YouTube demonetized me because I didn't post anything on it for while I was moving. Because the content of all the threats we're facing was more important. So whenever I could squeeze a video out, I put it over here or on Swirlhead News. So I'm trying to get Galactic Grace remonetized. So y'all could help me by watching those videos over there. Just let them play. That would help out a lot. Anyway, folks, it's late. It's really getting late now, so I think we need to check my email one more time. So it's getting really late. the sun wakes me up in the morning, and the sun comes up here. It's coming up about 6 now. It was coming up at 5 at the peak of the summer. So, I'm Arizona is on Mountain Standard Time, not Mountain Daylight Time. So we're effectively at the same time as the West Coast right now. Uh, so how did things get so bad so fast? It's that people don't show respect. How about taking God out of the classroom? How about all these teachers that came into the classroom with more emphasis on teaching social justice? We see where that landed us. How about families that are broke up where there's no father at home and mama's too busy working to look after the kids and the kids are being raised by each other? How about pop culture influences, raising the kids, rap music, gangster rap? Um, there's a lot of issues. And a lot of these kids just don't have hope, but they've fallen into the false teachings of socialism, communism, thinking that's a way to fairness and a better world. And they don't look at all the societies that went down that road and saw how devastating it was to them. And it's just like they got to learn it all over again. And if you tell them, they think that you're not being right because it's just been so ingrained in them in the school system, especially colleges, universities. And we fund them, we pay for that. So more bluegrass. Hey, I love bluegrass. I love bluegrass. Amen to that. It's so bad. I wasn't raised like this. I hear you, Juanita. I wasn't either. See, you know, these guys on the left, they'll talk about, oh, there was this one, they're talking about somebody got, taken out in Minnesota. Yeah, but we weren't over here celebrating it on the right side when it happened. We weren't justifying it and talking down the people that got on the left side when they got taken out. Although some people think that Tim Waltz was connected to a couple of those people and really question what really went down there. But this is mind numbing, but this really shows what I've been warning you guys about. The level of division in this country is off the charts. But that it could be the way it is, it turns my stomach. It really it makes my stomach churn to see people celebrating this. And I've been getting it on my Facebook site. There's tons of these people. And they have, if you've been listening to the narrative put out by the mainstream news media, they've been hammering this philosophy into people's heads. Anybody watching that this has been hammered into their heads. It's a worldview, and the worldview has become very skewed. The worldview it needs some adjustment. But nobody anywhere, there should never be political assassinations at all, either side. And nobody should celebrate the demise of anyone. And the best way to get out of where we're at is for people to sit down and have open discourse. Whether you agreed with them or not, that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. He was going and sitting down to campuses and talking to people. You didn't have to agree with them. Just because you don't agree with somebody don't mean you got to take them out. So what the guy pulling the bang bang say? He was full of hatred. You think pulling a bang bang trigger is not hatred? Oh, sticks and stones might break my bones, but it's words that'll really hurt me. Remember, kids, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, now it's the words that hurt. Yeah, guys. Things have been turned upside down. What's good's bad. What's bad's good. The Bible predicted this, didn't it? Did it not? Anyway, bless you, Greg. You're saying what I'm thinking. God bless America. This is still, in spite of all of our difficulties, we still live in the best nation that's ever existed in the history of mankind. They think that we're the worst nation that's ever existed because that's what's been put down their throats. They've been hypnotized with this America bad. I've had people tell me, "Oh, we wiped out 100 million American Indians. No, we didn't. I did a video where I went in great detail describing the numbers and what happened, how it happened. The Trail of Tears was a bad thing, and I'm not justifying it, but I did explain why it happened and what happened. But a lot of these numbers these people throw around are just pure bogus. They're absolutely not true. But a lot of people, this is the stuff they believe. When I heard several people repeat that same numbers, like there weren't that many Native Americans in North America. Where do you come up with this stuff? And most of them that were taken out by disease. Unfortunate. People from Europe and Asia and Africa had all been swapping diseases over those three continents for thousands of years. And when they started visiting other worlds, they spread diseases that hadn't been there. And it was horrendous, the effect of that on native populations throughout Polynesia and the Americas. I'm not justifying that either, but that's what happened. And a lot of these areas where Europeans went were already empty when they got there, practically. There used to be a huge mound building culture in the southeast. They were still there when DeSoto came through. When DeSoto came back, there was a whole other Indian tribes, and Indian tribes did fight each other. So there's just a lot of stuff that don't get talked about. And so the Crusades, but it doesn't represent us now. Yeah, and why are we to pay for the sins of our fathers? I didn't do it. So why, and everybody didn't do it. That's just another thing a lot of people don't take into account. When my ancestors went into Northwest Georgia, they bought and paid for the land that they lived on and settled on from the Indians there. They actually paid what at that time was a good price for the property. And they lived peacefully among the natives that were there. They intermixed with them quite a bit. In fact, they got along, as far as I know. But it wasn't a conquest. So, and that happened in a lot of cases. So, and most of my ancestors were mountain people. They weren't slave owners. In fact, slave owners were only about 5% of the Southerners, something like that, some small fraction. So, just there's a lot of stuff that history that the people teach these days that is not based in reality. I used to talk to old folks when I was a kid. I found it very interesting when I was a young lad to talk to the older people, and I was really curious about the time of the war between the states, and I'd ask them because their aunts and uncles and moms and dads lived in that area, and the stories they told were horrendous. And it's not what you read in history books. But anyway, that's another story. I'm not gonna get on that now. But they hate us, but they keep breaking in. They keep breaking in so that they can live here. Explain that makes no sense. A lot of stuff don't make sense. Kentucky, here I understand the mountain folk. My ancestry comes from that. I've got Appalachian blood in my veins. So anyway, guys, but we're in interesting times. In the Chinese proverbial sense, which is a curse, as you know. So again, I appeal to you right now to do some serious praying. Pray that we get through this and that saner heads prevail and that we calm down all these inflamed nerves in people and all this stuff don't go kinetic. If it goes kinetic any further, it's going to be like a feud. Feuds are ugly. Feuds and civil wars are about the same. On a national level, it's called a civil war. We're on the precipice potentially of a civil war with terrorism and on top of it. And World War III, Civil War, World War III, terrorism, all wrapped in one big package. That is one stinking pile of what that we don't need. This is why I've been, I was a space guy. I was all involved in the National Space Society promoting. I knew that we faced threats as a civilization due to long-term challenges that civilizations face, the kind of things that that are, the civilization cycle that Ransom talks about over there with David Devine. It's bigger than that. There's things I've been aware of. And I thought, we get all our rocks in this third rock sun that we need to out. But then I came to the realization that their threats are coming faster. Their power grid was extremely vulnerable. And then all these other things started popping up. And it was like, okay, I need to change gears. And I was already prepping, but that really put me in high gear on it. And that's when I started my homestead in Alabama, really. So I started my channel about homesteading, but the reason for it was this. But, where I was at, I wasn't comfortable. Too many people, and the place was growing fast, and there were a lot of bad characters in my community that were stealing from me left and right. And I lived 26 miles downwind from Browns Ferry nuclear power plant. There was just a lot of issues. And so I decided it's time to get out of Dodge. So I bugged out to here. This is my bug out. I'm bugging in at my bug out. So I'm taking it serious. I'm putting my deeds and actions, my money, what little bit I got or didn't or had or don't have now, where my mouth is. I wish I could afford a well. So I set up to do rainwater collection. I haven't been getting any rain here. I've been watching all these other channels out here in Arizona. It's been raining everywhere here. I built these dams for ponds, on the washes, hoping to collect some of the monsoon waters. I got just a little puddle up behind one dam by the biggest wash, and that's it. A little bitty puddle. It'll dry up in a day or two, probably. Uh, but the price of wells has been going up. When I first started looking into it 2 years ago, it was around 30,000. Now it's up to about 50. I can't afford that right now. Just no way. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford that. I'm going to just try to double down on rainwater collection and cross my fingers. Uh, it's challenging. That's the big challenge there. So, hey, we got Rodney Middleton in the house. How you doing from down there? Rodney, you might want to catch us on the rewind, because what I'm talking about here pertains to you too. Read down, imagine how bright the stars would be. Hey, I do see bright stars out here. I see the Milky Way. I'm out in the desert now. There are other people on homesteads all around me, but not directly on me. There's the property. Nobody lives on a property that directly joins mine. There's one that's corners to mine's got a guy living on it. There's a property, the house on it, just one side of me, but the guy only comes up for a weekend about every 3 months. And the rest of the properties that people are living are further away. So all the ones that directly join me are empty. Got 40 acres here. But there's people are moving out here. Anyway, how long have we been going? I'm gonna call it a night. It's late, and I got to get up, and when the sun will get me up, if nothing else. If it is a Sunday, the sun will get me up. I've not gotten much sleep lately. I was really tired of that, but I drank a lot of coffee just so I could bring you guys this message. American farmers are bankrupt. Yeah, that's a sad thing. But looking at atmosphere, oh, I got a heart on there. I can't really read the whole message. Tiffany gave me a message about how to remove that, and I've tried it and it didn't work for me. Oh, I've been looking at atmospheric water generators. I got a little bit of a plan for how to set one up here by putting a bunch of smaller pipes in the ground, gaining them up, and using it for dual purpose. I think I'll use it to bring in cool air and collect water. It's two different concepts. I think I'm working up a way to combine them, but I got to do a lot of digging. I got a lot of other projects to do too. I got so many projects to do here. It's not funny. I may be on the verge of getting chickens. So that's something I'm looking at. I'm running the water lines out. I hope I get worms soon. I've got my garden enclosed, at least some ground critters. But the birds have done more damage than anything this year. Anyway, I need to go, folks. I really do. Say, can I come work on your place, Greg? I know I have to pay rent, cover property taxes. Fair. Well, if you want, I'll talk about it. Talk about it. Anyway, let's see what else here. Something else. The far middle, 2 a.m. here, West Coast. I'm same time you're on. If food shortage, we'll go pick some from farmers, penny not picked. Thanks to the ice army. Well, I've told you guys, go out and make friends with the farmers. I've covered that in some previous videos. That's one of the best things you can do is go out and offer to help them. Once you get in with them, then rig goes down. They won't be able to get gas for their tractors or diesel fuel, and they won't be able to buy seeds. So, hey, look, I got tools and seeds. Get you some manual tools. Buy some heirloom seeds. Say, if you'd like, I can share crop this corner over here, and you get half. I keep half, and you'll still be able to make something, and I'll have something too. Even if you don't have land, guys, that's one way to do it. And maybe they'll let you stay on the corner of their place if you work with them, and if you get in with them good and show them that you're a good, trustworthy person. That's a real trouble these days when you're a farmer or you're trying to hire people. Most people you bring in, you can't trust them. If you go out and prove your creds to them, they'd be thrilled. They would be thrilled. But you got to get in and work with them to do that. And it's more true now than ever. And don't waste any time. Because time is short from the looks of things. Time looks like it's short to mayhem. The time to mayhem looks to be a short fuse. It could be days, might be years, but guys, things have been happening really fast. Things are ratcheting up. Just cross your fingers and pray. Cross my fingers really don't mean nothing for you. Pray. Prep and pray and hope for a better day. But the whole time, put those preps in order. You be centered with yourself, with your maker, and love your family. Tell the people you love them. You never know when you get another chance. Maybe never. So, seriously, folks, I came in here tonight to warn you. That's what this video was all about. So, I have a lot of Amish friends in Ohio. That's a good thing, Mitch. Thank you, everyone. All right, so folks, make sure you share my videos. Make sure you check my channel periodically and look what's on it, because I'm not getting that many views now. Arnold told me he wasn't getting any notices. When people that watch every video put out gets no notices, something's wrong. The platform don't like me, apparently. Even though they're monetizing my videos, because I do meet the rules. They still don't like my content. So I'm sure they're just turning the squelch down. The gain, whatever you want to call it. So help me out. Give me the thumbs up. Talk with each other in the comments after I post this video and my other videos, and watch my other videos. But go over my Galactic Growth channel if you're at all even semi-interested in the space, and play some of those videos. I need some serious watch time over there. Look for the longer ones that's an hour long. Just let them play. Anyway, my friends, I gotta go. Life goes by quick. Boy, that is the truth. I should be 20 years old. I feel like I should be, but I don't feel like I am anymore. So, oh, praying. Hey, Cumulus Pepper, I'm feeling kind of chill in my throat, like a little bit of heartburn. It may be, I mean, anything to give me any heartburn. It may just be I got this up to kind of cool everything down here a little bit. So it'll be cool in the morning. Anyway, my friends, I'm just going to say thank you, Kim Possible, for the wonderful super chat. Thank you, mods, for everything you're doing, keeping the chat room clean. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And where's my? I got different buttons on here. Something looks different. Let me open this up a little bit more. Got a record button. That's odd. The normal button I stopped the video with. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm on a different computer right now, so just bear with me. So, to everyone, a good night, a good day, wherever you are. It's daytime for some of you, nighttime for some of us. So, to one and all, a good night, good day. Ho, ho, ho. Eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Greg out.